It's Super Bowl week, so Matthew and I will get to the football in just a minute, but we're doing a little quick wrap up on yesterday. We talked about regional sports and where the teams are going to be, and it looks like most of them are headed to Major League Baseball's MLB.TV.
Yeah, according to the article put out by the Sports Business Journal yesterday, um, obviously you have the teams that have already committed to the MLB, being the Cardinals and the Brewers. The five that are anticipating on joining them are the Cardinals, Brewers, Royals, Reds, and Marlins.
Mm-hmm.
Well, okay, that's never mind. The Tigers, Rays, and Angels are leaning towards joining them in the venture, giving you 8 out of the 9 um, that are most likely going to be inking deals with MLB and working it out that way.
I
And
can
then,
confirm that 8 of them are signing with the MLB network.
yeah,
I
and
mean, I'm
then
sorry, MLB TV.
yeah, and then the Braves' game plan appears to be that of which they are going to create their own network,
Okay.
license their own stuff, and it's potentially in partnership with Apple and Amazon, and that's all in the Sports Business Journal that they an article
Mm-hmm.
they put out yesterday afternoon.
Yeah,
Uh,
Tom Friend wrote the piece, I think.
yep, yep, that is who wrote it.
Yeah, Tom is a former colleague of mine when I was at the Sports Business Journal. Good writer John Orand, who was with us there, and is now with Puck, which is Varsity's what the title of their publication. Anyway, John, I mean, in a note I penned for Florida the other day, yesterday. It seems like yesterday, man, it might have been the day before. I had spoken to a number of people who said that it was a matter of time, and the problem was with all of them, frankly, that each one had different contracts,
Mm-hmm.
and that the contracts had to be, Major League Baseball and the teams. Some took longer than others, basically, to actually get out of the contract and get into a new contract, um, so that they could get it done, as quickly as possible. Because everybody wants to be on um, opening day, and everybody wants to have before the season starts, wants folks to know where to get them, and just uh, not 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 for nothing, as the old saying goes. ESPN purchased MLB TV. So what's going to happen is you're going to have, if you're any one of those teams we just talked about, there's 16 teams, okay, that are, for all intents and purposes, free agents, if you will. They're part now of MLB TV. Those 16 teams will be available in your local market on the ESPN app as well as MLB TV.
Mm-hmm.
So, keep a lookout, and they will be telling you what local TV station you're going to be on, and as well as they will be on cable, they will be on the streaming services like YouTube TV and Hulu TV Plus, or I guess it's Hulu TV, and Fubo. So all of those things will happen. It looks like we're going to get there. And as you said, my guess is I'm certain. Well, Amazon has a deal with the Yankees, so I wouldn't be surprised if Amazon was the partner that took on the Braves.
Yeah, yeah, but again, it appears like they've found a resolution, headed
Hmm.
towards this resolution, which good for baseball fans
Yeah,
in terms of being able to consume the product.
yeah, and I think that you know uh, if Amazon is the streamer for the Braves, that'll be a good thing, and we're likely to see some of their games again on Peachtree. So we'll see how that
Mhm.
all works out. ESPN is handling the distribution of it. So with ESPN's power with regard to cable, and of course the satellite services being DirecTV and Dish, I would think they wouldn't have too much trouble getting those games on as soon as they find out where they're going to be.
Yeah.
So and baseball's producing all of them now. I think we talked about yesterday about the fact that baseball wants to make all of the TV programming look, the same from a standpoint of universal and network quality. I'm not so sure that they can get that done this year with adding on these new franchises, but
Mhm.
the quality, will be. I would think it'd be a little bit better than what it is normally been.
Yeah, yeah. I saw something yesterday on X as I was scrolling through
Mm-hmm.
how there was a Braves fan talking about, they're most looking forward to the changing of the score bugs. So like just little housekeeping things like that are going to
Mm-hmm.
make this a better product for the consumer to watch, because again, we talked about it yesterday. Those regional sports networks and like the production that they had, score bugs, stuff like that, when you're just watching the game live, it felt cheap. I don't think anybody was fooled by that. It was not a great score bug they had going on. So there'll be little quality of life changes in these moves that will also make it better, along with being a little bit more accessible for the customer.
Yeah, and I think import an important note here is that if it isn't that way just at the beginning, have patience. They're going to get there. Um, Normally something like this takes about at least 8 months to a year to put together, and they're doing it in less than a month and a half.
Yeah.
So are we going to see what Major League Baseball wants us to see in the future? Probably not, but it's very highly likely that you know have a little patience, and you'll see that it'll pay off.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
So, all right, now let's talk about the NFL and what's going on there. And it looks like Drake May's shoulder seems to be doing okay. Um, at
Hmm.
the press conference yesterday, he seemed to say that he felt good, that he felt like he was going to be in good shape for the game. He wasn't going to practice again until Wednesday, which by this point in time, how many practices have they had? I don't think they have to go
Yeah.
through any rigorous stuff. And so if his shoulders feel good they're probably telling him just to rest. So I
Hmm.
would imagine.
Yeah. Yeah. You would imagine. He said it felt good in practice recently. That it felt like he'd taken some steps forward. It's I do find it interesting, and I know this isn't like something new, but it is funny that when all the teams get to town, they just like go straight into media day the night that they arrive on
Hmm.
in the location of the city that's being held. Like that would stink. After you've traveled all day, just going straight into media availability seems awful. And then you've got some guys that are asking, like I heard somebody ask Mike Vrabel if he thought the Super Bowl was a must-win game.
Well,
So
yeah, yeah, that's not exactly a genius move there. Is it a must-win game? You would think if you got there that you would think it to be a must-win game.
yeah, yeah, you would hope it was intended as a joke or something like that. I
Yeah.
I listened to it. I heard the reporter's tone. I don't think it was intended necessarily as a joke, but it was asked of him, and it was, as you'd expect Mike Vrabel to do. He's like, I yes, like we come in wanting to win all of our games, basically, like we would
Hmm.
like to win them. So
Well, it kind of falls back to Super Bowl III when Joe Namath was in Miami, and people came up to him and said, "You guarantee a win." He goes, "Sure, I'll guarantee a win." And they that made headline news all around the country. You're thinking
mhm.
about and so Joe said afterwards, he said, if I didn't think we were going to win, why would we come?
Yeah,
So guaranteeing it, I said, I guarantee I'll do my best. So there you go. He guaranteed it. They, but yeah, I think a lot of it. I, I really the problem is with Super Bowl and specifically Super Bowl media day. It's there's a lot of people who aren't who sports writers. There's a lot of entertainment people, a lot of other different
Mhm.
You get a bunch of magazines and things that do not cover any sports most of the year, but they cover the Super Bowl. And
Mhm.
so there are a lot of people who come in. They ask. I mean, that goes back to um, the great question in when Washington played against Denver and San Diego, and one reporter asked Doug Williams, how long has he been a black quarterback? Now, I'm pretty sure that what the kid meant. I mean, it was a young guy who was probably very nervous and getting him to ask his first question, and I would think he would be smart enough to realize Doug has been black most of his life, and so
Yeah.
from that standpoint, I think maybe he was looking at did he play other positions other than
Mhm.
quarterback? How long? So I'm
Yeah.
giving him the benefit of the doubt on that one. I don't think anybody's that stupid. But there have been some really crazy stuff that has gone on at this at those media days that they live on in infamy because you're sitting there going, I can't believe this fool said that.
Mhm. Yeah. I mean, you got Marshawn Lynch telling people that he just showed up so he wouldn't get fined by the NFL. Um,
That's
so
true though.
yeah, yeah. I mean, there's always some kind of moment or something that comes out of the Super Bowl media circus when they get into town.
What do you? I mean, what from a standpoint of uh, what's going to be some of the key points you're going to be watching for. What are some of the things that you look for in this bowl?
It's going to be. I mean, it's going to be cliche, but when you look at it, how successful are the Patriots running the football between the tackles? It's
Hmm.
something that Travion Henderson isn't proficient in. He struggles with his vision from time to time. Ramondre Stevenson's much better between the tackles, but they're going to have to establish the run because this is the best secondary in football this year, in
Hmm.
terms of their pass defense overall. So Drake May and his shoulder, and whether it's feeling good, and his prior performances in the playoffs this year, this, that, and the other, is if he's going to be successful, regardless of that shoulder injury, if it's there, if it's not there, they're still going to have to be successful on first and second down and put them into those third and manageable spots, because you saw Will Campbell when they were in obvious passing downs against the Houston Texans really struggle against oh God, Will Anderson. There we go. I mixed him and Nick Bonito up in my head. That's what I was doing. I almost went with Nick Anderson, and that's a wide receiver at LSU. Uh,
Right.
but no, so Will Anderson had a day against Will Campbell. I don't think the Seattle pass rush necessarily, they don't have one guy that's going to have the same impact as a Will Anderson or even a Nick Bonito can, in terms of their ability to win one-on-one rushing. But what they can do is they can defend the pass better than anybody else in the country. So they're going to have their work cut out, and they're not able to get it going on the ground like they weren't able to do against Denver. One touchdown is not going to cut it against this Seattle Seahawks team.
Right. Um, I'm wondering with regard to um, with regard to uh, um, oh, why I'm freaking blanking on what I was about to say. I'm wondering about um, the situation with Drake May. Um, do you think that they decide to say, okay, we're going to load up and force Drake May to beat us?
I No, I think you go the other way. I think you're going to force that Patriot run game to beat you. It's one that's
Mhm.
been serviceable at best, but it's not been a great running game.
Mhm.
You know, I think in tandem, Travion Henderson and Ramondre Stevenson work pretty
Mhm.
well together, but none of them are a lead back. Like the Seattle has the best running back in this game in Kenneth Walker. They have the
Mhm.
better running game in this game with Kenneth Walker as well. Um, so I think you're very much content letting you're going to let Ramondre Stevenson and Travion Henderson beat you down the field and put together like you're going to make them put together first downs and not give them anything over the top, which is what the Patriots were best at this year. Drake May was one of the best deep ball throwers in the NFL this season. They beat them deep. They created explosives, but when you are able to kind of sit on that deeper stuff and feel confident with your guys in the box making those plays, then it's something where you're not going to get an offense going. Like if they are not able to run the football and they feel content stopping the run with a light box, then the Patriots aren't going to win this football game, plain and simple. So they have to be able to create running lanes for these backs. The offensive line does because it's the only way that they're going to be successful through the air.
Yeah, and if you look at it, um, this is a team that has been tested time and time and time again. So I would think that pretty good shot that everything's going to fall into place for them. Um, I do think that Seattle can dictate the game.
Yeah, I think they have the absolute ability to do that. They're not. They're not. They just feel like the better team on both sides. Like they carry the better defense. They carry the better running back.
Mm-hmm.
Offensive line, I think I would probably give the edge to Seattle. Like that's all stuff that's true. But then you
Mm-hmm.
turn around, and you're like, well, okay, like the Patriots are here. Like they did make the Super Bowl. That's something
They
that
didn't stumble their way in. Yeah.
yeah, they found their way to the Super Bowl. So they're facing an uphill battle. I think is the best way to put it. Like
Mm-hmm.
they don't feel like they're favored in any facet of the football game, but it's also one of those games where you look up and I don't have the exact line, but I know it's not big. Let's see.
That's 4 points
Yeah,
basically.
it's 4.5 points. So 4.5 points feels, that's kind of the generalization you get. Like when you look at teams and you look at spreads, or at least in my experience, looking at the thought process. If
Mm-hmm.
it's a double-digit spread, I go, yeah, there's just no way they're winning this game. Obviously, these things are not true. Like this doesn't actually happen in reality, but this is just the general thought process that I have going into it.
Mm-hmm.
If it's 6.5 or 7 points on an NFL spread, I'm racking my brain trying to figure out how they're going to get it done. 4.5, you feel like you've got a pretty significant edge to one side or the other, and that's where you're sitting at here. When you get in those 1.5 games, that's where you're like, I really don't know what's happening here. But 4.5 still feels like I've got a pretty good sense of the way, but yet they're 4.5, and there's a reason for that. Just because I think something one way, these guys are all in the NFL. They carry a similar talent level across these rosters, and even
Mm-hmm.
though they looked like one thing last week, they can look like something completely different coming into the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I think that the line was set at 3.5, so it pushed a point. That would lead you to believe that the money's headed in Seattle's direction.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think it's fair to say that Seattle was a little bit of a dark horse coming into this season. I don't think a lot of people. I mean, a lot of people had respect for them, but they didn't know how things were going to work out. As the season went on, they proved themselves to be battle tested. And we've discussed this a couple of times. But I think both of us agree that the Pats ended up showing up probably a year or two earlier than we thought they were going to get there. And
Yeah,
go ahead.
they're well ahead of schedule. When you
Mm-hmm.
when you have a 4-win football team, the expectation isn't to hire a new head coach under year 2
Mm-hmm.
of your quarterback and just go to the Super Bowl immediately. No matter how
Mm-hmm.
much money you spend in free agency, you
Right.
like when you spend that much, you expect an increase.
Mm-hmm.
You obviously expect a culture shift and things to
Mm-hmm.
change and things to point in the right direction, but you don't expect to be here.
I think there's going to be some very interesting situations with so many coaches changes in the league.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I think Grable's probably got a really good setup there in New England because nobody really knows what's going to happen with the Buffalo situation. Nobody knows what's going to happen in Miami. Nobody has a clue how Baltimore's going to react.
Yeah.
We don't know how many, what a Patrick Mahomes, a new Patrick Mahomes hobbled from his injury is going to be like. We don't know, what the situation is with the Chargers. I mean, there's a lot of unknowns out there with coordinators changes and head coaching changes. Um, you know, Perhaps, as we said before, even though the Patriots are ahead of the schedule, maybe, just maybe, that they can settle into this and be that contender that, you know, even though they're a year ahead of time, maybe the rest of the league is, I'm sorry, the rest of that division is behind a year, that they
Yeah.
set themselves back.
Yeah, that is true. When you look across the landscape of the AFC, is we're starting to enter, because we talked about it. The storylines for
Mhm.
really what's been getting close to around, probably somewhere in the neighborhood of 6 to 8 years, has been the Joe Burrow, Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen kind of deal.
Right.
Like that's kind of where we've been at, especially after 2020. That's been the direction and the main push point, or the most popular push point in the AFC. A lot of those guys are kind of in a period of transition now. You talked about the AFC East. A lot of the AFC East is in transition, and those things can still pop and provide problems. But in terms of a stability outlook, the Patriots are in the best place and the most stable place in the AFC. You would think going forward. Drake May is going to go. He's in year 2 right now. Mike Vrabel's in year 1. Both of those contracts will run for a while. Drake May on his rookie deal. That's always good when you have a quarterback that pops on the rookie deal, because then you're allowed to build around them while they are cheap. So yeah, you look at the landscape of the AFC and you would say, it's not a guarantee of the Patriots' success in the future. But when you look at it, assuming that they were to continue to show up in the same way that they did this year, that they're in the most stable place going forward.
And I like what Denver's done.
Yeah.
I think that Denver is going to be there from time. They're establishing themselves as the potential, successor to the Chiefs, who are getting older, and it's you don't ever want to count people out, but all good things must come to an end. And in this particular case, that good thing that comes to an end may very well be, the relationship of the Chiefs and how they see themselves going forward. I mean, they've gotten older. They're not necessarily going to get better.
Yeah.
And it's the old joke, you never count these guys out, and I know you never would.
Yeah.
But I will tell you right now, there's a lot of wondering, if you will, about what's going to happen with Baltimore. They've got a new head coach, a new coordinator for the offense, and supposedly Lamar Jackson is excited about this guy, but you never know. I mean, you just don't know. There's been so much turnover, and in Pittsburgh, you have no clue what's going to happen there. I think that Pittsburgh will be fine, but I don't know that, and we'll see what Will Howard can do. We'll see if they choose to bring Aaron Rodgers back. There's a lot of ifs in this scenario here, and we're gonna have to see. And then you've got the situation down in Jacksonville. Are they for real? Is that a team to be reckoned with? What's going to happen in Indy? Did Tennessee upgrade themselves?
Yeah.
There's a lot of, I'd like to be right now. The two teams I'd like to be in that league is definitely the two teams that played in the championship game, which is, the New England Patriots and what's going on in Denver. So
yeah,
we'll
you
see.
talked about Jacksonville. I wonder about Jacksonville's long-term output in terms of their spending. They said that they believe Devin Lloyd was going to hit free agency because he had played his way out of their market.
Right.
So that's something that could limit them. Talked about Kansas City and the age. Like, Travis Kelce, is he going to play next year? based on just pure tea leaf reading right now, you'd lean towards no. Andy Reid doesn't get younger by the year. Patrick Mahomes is now an expensive quarterback. It's going to be that's going to be another year older, coming off an ACL tear. That's a significant injury. You expect Patrick Mahomes to come back and be the same guy. You can't expect that, at least not reasonably. This is also a team that had offensive line struggles last year.
Mhm.
Couldn't run the football effectively for most of the year. So
Right.
they had a lot of questions, not a lot of answers. I know it's the Chiefs and everybody believes, as long as Patrick Mahomes is back there, you have to give him a chance. That's fair, and you do. But there was a lot of glaring holes last year that even when he was healthy, Patrick Mahomes was not able to cover up. So they have those problems as well. You are correct, and Denver and New England have some similar stability things as well, because Bo Nix is on a rookie deal as well. I think as long as they want him there, Sean Payton will be there. You can go to Jacksonville. I know I talked about about the worries maybe regarding spending. But they do have Trevor Lawrence under contract for a while, and Liam Cohen obviously in year one of his head coaching deal. So they have some stability as well.
Yeah. I think I'm certainly interested in finding out and watching what happens to our buddy over in Cleveland with Todd Monken taking over that job. I wish him well. I think that if there's anybody who can figure out a way to get that offense on track, it's Todd.
Yeah, and that's it's one where if I'm Todd Monken, obviously you want to take that job because there's only 32 head coaching jobs available.
Right.
It is a little tough to see the light at the end of the tunnel in terms of that Cleveland head coaching job. They've had a good defense. It's been coached by Jim Schwartz. The assumption is that Jim Schwartz won't be there anymore. You got your most expensive player on the team is your edge rusher and Myles Garrett. You've got two quarterbacks that were rookies last year, and one quarterback has a cult following that is going to be quick and ready to blame you when things inevitably don't go well in your first year. It seems like your receiver core, your top receiver is Jerry Jeudy. That's just never going to work out. You got a good tight end room. Your running back room is young at best, I think is the way to describe it. So there's problems in Cleveland that they're going to have to get together, but they've got to spend the money and they've got to draft well. You talk about all the coaching and stuff like that. It doesn't matter who you hire as the head coach if you don't have the players on the field to get the job done.
Right. But I do think this. I think that Todd will be able to get the most out of the team.
I think you would be reasonable to expect an offensive uptick.
Yeah, and I'm not saying that they're going to win the division. I'm just saying that I feel that he's the kind of coach whose stability and temperament is what they need now if they're serious about making a push for a title.
Yeah. And then you also have Cleveland sitting there that, they made the decision to hold on to Zach Taylor after what was a bad year. And did I say Cincinnati? I did say Cincinnati.
You did say Cincinnati, yeah.
Cincinnati held on to Zach Taylor. They weren't good last year. They weren't good the year before. They haven't been good for a couple years under Zach Taylor. And, apparently that Super Bowl run back in 2021 bought him a lot of real estate in terms of how long they'll keep him on. Or maybe they just saw the head coaching market and decided that they didn't want to jump in and that they felt that they were better off running it back with hopefully healthy Joe Burrow. And what you would have to assume is a defense that they're going to spend some money on if they're going to make this move, because that's been the problem for these last couple of years. It's been Joe Burrow's health in that defense. And, the only thing that can fix Joe Burrow's health is time, but there is something else that can fix that defense, and that's money. So they got to spend it on that side of the football.
Weather's supposed to be good out in Santa Clara for the game on Sunday. And right now the teams are practicing. You got the Seahawks at Stanford, and you've got the Seahawks at Stanford. You have the Patriots at Cal. So there's plenty of facility that they don't have to worry about. They got two good facilities to practice at. I think usually Super Bowl week, Monday and Tuesday is when there's the easiest access to the players and the coaches, and then after that, it's pretty much um, it's pretty much a situation where they go back into their bubble, and you're not going to see them until
Yeah.
game day. So they got 2 days of this. The other thing is that drives me crazy, and one of the reasons I don't pay attention to it much is Radio Row, where all of the you know radio stations basically end up interviewing each other and interviewing the same guests, all of whom are NFL players who are out hawking some sort of whoever whatever their brand of what you know that they deal with, whether it's shoes or you know there's been some very odd things that some of these guys have gone out there and they're spokespeople for.
Hmm.
So it's an interesting kind of a situation, because as I said before, it's more of a circus. I mean, this is you're going to get a lot of people that come to these games, the Super Bowl games, who are sponsors, who are um, they're not. This is not a fan friendly situation.
No, no. The
This is a
Super
corporate
Bowl,
event.
yeah, the Super Bowl is a corporate event. It is not for the fans. They are not trying to fill that building with Seahawk and Patriot fans. Like that's
Right.
not the goal.
Well, I mean, the amount of tickets that they allot to each team is, if you put them together, you still wouldn't have half the stadium.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, that's as you would
So,
expect. Like that's why the ticket prices are so high.
mhm.
Obviously, there's an exclusivity factor that makes the ticket prices high. Like
Mhm.
there's only how many seats? Like 70,000 seats in Santa Clara, 60, 70,000.
In that, I would say in that 68 to 70,000 range.
Yeah.
Right.
So, there's only 60 to 70,000 of these things available every year, give or take. So there is an exclusivity factor, but also it has to do with the people that are going. And that's part of the
Yeah.
reason that the prices are the way they are.
The other thing too, from a standpoint of the average fan, um, San Francisco is expensive. So if you're going to go out to San Francisco to the football game, you're gonna pay a very heavy duty a heavy duty price, and I think that's another issue that they're gonna have to look into from a standpoint of, if you're a casual fan, can you find a hotel room within 100 miles that'll keep you, that is not going to cost you an arm and a leg.
Yeah. Yeah. Pricing. Yeah. Pricing with everything around the Super Bowl makes everything just go
Mhm.
way up.
I will give you a tip. If you want to buy any merchandise after the game, that's the time to buy it, because a lot of these guys come into town and they bring all kinds of shirts and everything like that. And by the time they're finished at the main hotel, uh, that I don't know what the Super Bowl main hotel is right now in San Francisco, but on the day after the Super Bowl, there's a big tent sale where they'll sell you sweatshirts, t-shirts, hats, everything that they got. Just getting them out of the just get out, basically just try to get out of town with them, because they don't want they don't pay to bring them back. Which, by the way, includes t-shirts with the team that lost winning. So you can, if the 49ers, I'm sorry, if by chance the Patriots lose that game, you can buy a sweatshirt that says "World Champion," Super Bowl 60 champion Patriots, because they were printed up, but they didn't win, so they got to
Yeah.
get rid of them. So a
Yeah.
clearance sale, if you will.
Yeah, what's it called? Fanatics has been getting it good online here these last few days for their overall quality and customer service
Mm-hmm.
that they provide. People have been very upset because when you go online and you try to buy a Patriots Super Bowl jersey, like with
Mm-hmm.
the patch on it, you can't buy one of the ones that they're going to wear on the field. They got these alternate designs that the Patriots have never worn before that have
Right.
the Super Bowl patches on them, but that's it. That's all you have available. So people are very upset because They've gotten upset at the overall quality of
Mhm.
Fanatics. They've gotten upset because Fanatics essentially has a monopoly on a lot of the merchandising that goes on in sports,
Well,
especially jersey sales.
yeah,
So
these things that I'm talking about are independent vendors.
yeah,
So they're not the licensed, Super Bowl vendors, which doesn't mean the quality isn't there. It just means it's not a licensed vendor.
yeah,
They're licensed to be in the area, but they're not licensed to be in the actual property.
yeah, and that's probably an avenue that you're better suited going down if you're going to be at the Super Bowl. Like, don't buy this stuff from Fanatics. It is low quality. It is, it is manufactured at a large scale that benefits what is effectively a monopoly on some of the sports merchandising. And the reason that the quality is low and their customer service is bad and really the overall product of Fanatics is bad is because they don't have any direct competition. No one's a threat.
Yeah, I will say this. It's funny. I can remember one Super Bowl. I bought the, some friends asked to bring some stuff back, and so I thought, well, okay. Game programs are always nice to have, and so I happened to, go through the tent and see that this guy was selling game programs for $4, which at the time, if you bought it in the stadium, it would have cost you $20. So you can find things, hats, like I said, T-shirts, sweatshirts, all at ridiculously low prices. But you have to be in San Francisco to get it. So I'm not so certain it's not worth necessarily the trip out there. But if you're out there, because a lot of people go to the stadium, go to the area, and then they don't go to the game. They just like to be in the areas.
Yeah, I went to the when it was in Atlanta back with the Patriots and the Rams. I went down to the Super Bowl, like the Fan Fest, just for the day. Didn't go to the game, but I went down to the Fan Fest, kind of saw everything.
That interest. So, it's Matthew. We got to wrap things up here. Any final thoughts? Now we'll get closer into analyzing the game, which is kind of, it's only Tuesday, folks. So give us a break here. We want to ease our way into this thing. We don't want to flame out before we get to Friday. So if you have questions and such, by all means, leave them down there. Scroll here for the past 15 minutes is Zach Bobo Real Estate, 2790. Anybody who needs a home or wants a home in the greater Georgia area or Southeast, by all means, give Zach a call. That's Zach Bobo Real Estate at 770-875-2790 for your housing needs. Okay. So he's a buddy of ours and we want to take care of him. So by all means, give Zach a call if you're in the real estate business and want something to happen down in the South. He's got you covered. Any final thoughts there, big boy, before we get out of town?
One thing that I found interesting recently is apparently the TGL, the simulator golf league that was created by Tiger Woods and Rory McIlroy, they're having trouble in terms of the simulator they're using. They have a partnership with Full Swing, and it has been very clear on multiple occasions that these simulators that they're running are not a quality product. They don't track the golf ball very well when it's been hit. And there's been multiple times where, guys have just straight up, like, I know Max Homa just sailed a bunker shot like well over the green yesterday. And it's stuff where, like, yes, this can happen, but these guys are extremely confused by the results sometimes coming off of this simulator. It's something that they've kind of dug themselves a hole in because a simulator is obviously a key component in running a simulator golf league. And it's a partnership they have and they can't really get out of, but it is impacting the quality of the product they're putting on television.
Well, it's there's always bugs somewhere, and hopefully they'll be able to work them out because I think that the concept is fun. if they can just get the thing, get the bugs out of it.
Yeah.
That'll be a good thing. All right. Well, we will see you tomorrow, guys. Remember, once again, Zach Bobo Real Estate, 770-875-2790. He's our bud, and we'll be pumping his information all the way through the Super Bowl as well. All right, guys, have a wonderful day. We'll be back with you tomorrow.